very first thing, right? Concrete
Right.
music.
Well,
Tell me about the
concrete
very, very
first.
first, how this all started.
Okay. Concrete was created 10 years ago. Concrete started off as actually as a management company. It was then partners with Walter O'Brien, who's today still continues to do management, even though Concrete proper now doesn't do management anymore. Um, when we first started off, the first thing we did was we were managing Grim Reaper, which is on RCA Records. And that's how the marketing company branched out from there for the management company. And that's the Concrete that I think a lot of people are familiar with. Concrete marketing wound up really being not so much the parent, but the main part of what we do, which a lot of other companies um, grew out of, like Foundations Forum. I find that the Concrete marketing got its strength by filling voids. 10 years ago, the metal community was very much underrepresented. Um, if you went to the national, international conventions that exist in this country, um, they were devoting a one day, at best, one um, one panel discussion dedicated to metal music. We came along and we felt that more time, more energy should be given to metal music, so we started Foundations Forum, which was 100%, then metal, now hard music convention. Um, the same thing with the Foundations Magazine, which is a trade publication. What a trade publication is, it's like a billboard. It talks to the industry. It's written for the industry. Um, all the other trade publications that are out there dedicate 1, 2, 3 pages to the hard music genre. We, on the other hand, made a whole magazine, a biweekly magazine, and that grew. So all these different voids were being filled by Concrete on a bunch of different levels, and that's how we went from being two guys working in an office that was like 10 by 10 square to a company now that employs 40 different people. Um,
And concrete music and foundations. So foundations started about 6 years ago.
yes, Foundations Forum was created. We're going into our 8th convention next year, September 7th, 8th, and 9th next year. Um, Foundations Forum is open to the general public. It always has been. There's a misconception that it's just an industry function, but actually it is open to the general public. I think the for it to be interesting to somebody out there, they have to be either a very serious fan or wanting to get into the industry, because that's what it really is kind of geared toward. Um, we've had some major headlining bands play, i.e. Kiss, Ozzy Osbourne, um, Judas Priest. We've had the big type of bands, Pearl Jam, bands like that, play, and when people call up saying, "How can I get a ticket to the Soundgarden show or to the Ozzy Osbourne show?" We tell them, this is not a show. If you want to see a show, wait till Ozzy comes to town, because it'll be a lot less expensive and you'll get what you want. That's what you're there for. If you're there to learn about the industry, if you're there to make contacts, if you're there trying to figure out how to get a record deal or how to be a manager, that's what the Foundations Forum is really for. If you're there to see new bands and see what the record companies are offering. Kind of like going to a trade show when you go to a car show or a boat show and you see all the new lines of cars or boats. The same thing, you see all the best new bands that are all under one roof for 3 solid days. That's what the Foundations Forum is really about.
What would you think would be one of the biggest successes Foundations Forum has had yet?
One of the biggest successes Foundations Forum had. Actually, the biggest year, the biggest year and the biggest nightmare was the year '91. It was a phenomenal year. It was the biggest pain. On the other hand,
Big, right?
because it was not so much the size, but there was so many big names involved. That year, Megadeth played, Soundgarden played, Alice in Chains played, Ozzy played, um, Extreme played. We had Temple of the Dog, which was Pearl Jam and Soundgarden kind of together. Clay, Slayer was there. Everyone was there, and there was just so much attention. And we were only in our like third year at that point, so we didn't have enough of the chops to be able to deal with efficiently as we can now. Again, experience is everything. Um, we made a couple of key mistakes because the convention had gone to such a level. It started off with being 1,000, and the next year went to 2,000, and the third year went to 3,000, and it was to the point where space was tight, space was limited. We were at a hotel where we actually shared. We took up all the convention space, but half the hotel was, well, not 40% of the hotel was still to normal guests. And so there was a conflict between the guests, not a fighting conflict, but it was kind of a weirdness. Now we've learned to only go to hotels where we can sell out the whole hotel. You live, you learn, but it was a real kind of a nightmare year for me.
As for, well, is there, just offhand, is there a favorite panel that you have that has stayed popular?
My favorite panel now, which we've done for the last 2 years, is the War Stories panel. That seems to be a lot of fun. Arts panel. It has sometimes the same type of flavor, but everyone that comes to the War Story knows that they're there to get some really fun stories, and when you have the right mix of people, like last year we had Dee Snider, who's Twister Sister fame, up there, and now Widowmaker, and he did a great job at the convention. But he's just such a character, such a personality. It's like having a Howard Stern up there, and they just were throwing the dirt left and right, and not in a vicious way, but I found it a very entertaining way.